Hello, welcome to SquishiVision, where I have to make this quick because it's 20 to 4 in the morning. I've got to be up in about 3 hours. I should really be asleep, but I'm just sleeping, so that's life, I guess. Before we talk about this episode, Changing Worlds from the Lens of Time, when I got home, I had a quick observation about the episode that I watched yesterday that came out last week. In that, I have a suspicion that the only reason they keep bringing Kirk back into this show isn't because they want to show off Kirk as a character, but because they want to show off Alexa, Volume 0. Because they want to show off Paul Wellesley as an actor. Apparently he's this big thing. I've never heard of him in my life, but apparently he's a big Vampire Diaries actor. I went to go see him at a Comic-Con once and was surprised by a large queue. Like, he had his own special, VIP queue, and I guess lots of people look like he's portrayal of Kirk as Star Trek. No, apparently he's this big thing, and also apparently he is the wrong kind of some version. I can't remember which it is now. I'm not going to slander him and accidentally commit libel, but I do have a big recollection of Chris Pine being now the only good Kirk actor. Anyway, that's last week's episode. This week's episode, it was a decent episode. It wasn't fantastically strung together. There were some parts where it went as a seam. I think aesthetically, it was a good episode. I like the whole. Well, in parts, it's good. I like the portrayal of. I like the fact that they discover this old evil secret because this grenade explodes in someone's eyes, and that's how the prisoner actually ends up escaping, and in risk takes over someone's body, and they don't realize at first. It's very kind of traditional Star Trek. Why is YouTube saying there's no data when I'm definitely live? And the way that they kind of build that up, you don't realize at first. You think it's just this grotesque injury. This over enthusiastic ensign goes in the first mission, gets his eyes blown out. Also, someone who's very sensitive to eye gore. No, thank you. Did not enjoy that. I mean, I guess it could have been worse. At least you don't actually see the eyes getting gored up, just the empty socket, which I suppose I can live with. But then you realize that actually it's the design of it's very Davros-y, I guess. The whole fleshy eye sockets thing. That they can clearly still see through is always a really strong and chilling design, and the fact that he is able to kind of read what people's dark secret sound, play that against them. I thought was good. I liked Mabenga, the Doctor. Being honest with Gamble, because obviously Gamble's also HCP, so he's not gonna lie about things. But the fact that he generally cares about Gamble, he's letting his emotions come through. I liked that. I liked how competent the security were for once. the only mistake the guy made was getting too close. But I mean, Spare Force feels he usually thinks it's quite realistic, quite reliable. The fact that they are trying to de-escalate the situation, they let Mabenga take control. They let him decide if he's sick bay or not. I like all that. Essentially, it was a ghost story. It was a spirit from the past possessing someone, but in sci-fi terms. So that was a nice thing. I like the idea of them being trapped in this temple, but they're all in the same place, but in different dimensions. I liked that kind of whole vibe. I liked the pairings they had and stuff like that. But the resolution being and also because of the ways that dimension shifting works, sometimes cause and effect work the other way around. And that kind of just got thrown in there as we need a way for them to get out. It wasn't really pre-established. The Chekhov's gun of that revelation was very kind of inconsequentially thrown in there. It felt like a lot of the revelations they came up with in that temple scene kind of paid off the Gamble thing rather than anything else. They laid framework down for some character work, but they didn't really follow it through. There seems to be this kind of implication that the two pairings of Lon and Spock and Chapel and Corby were going to play off each other, and they were going to have fights against each other, fights between each other, kind of thing. And you were going to see like intimate dynamics and pairing, which I would have hated, but I guess would have been interesting. But they didn't seem to like kind of commit to that. There was this whole thing about kind of like Spock realizing that Chapel didn't inherently trust him because she thought he might be a bit kind of possessive, which I guess is fair considering how he's acting before. And at the end, he'd be like, "You've got to trust me when I'm like talking about science." I also, and it kind of pays off the whole like she asking him to trust her earlier. But also that was kind of messy because like Spock should have really pulled rank and be like, "Nobody's got to tell people." I mean, it's not as if like that's necessarily abandoning the mission. Just go at the door and tell them what's happening and come back in again. And didn't do that. Not that that had any consequences, but it kind of like stuff later on. So like this was an episode very much interesting in its parts, but like in its whole entirety became like less than some of its parts. So I think that's a pretty good brief analysis of the episode. Like I said, it is in fact almost 4:45 in the morning. So I'm gonna go like wrap things up so I can go pray and then go and sleep for about hopefully 2.5 hours. And then hopefully give it time to get to work. Oh my god. Right.